The scariest thing about lust is that men don't realize the damage it can do until years of your life has already been passed. Like, yes, lust can damage your relationships, your focus, and overall lead you brothers down a path of destruction, man. And today, I want to react to a brother who made a video on how lust will destroy your life. And I don't want this for any of you brothers out there, man. So hopefully this video is edifying for you guys. Hopefully you guys learn a lot and get in control of your lust, man, because it will ultimately lead you brothers down a path of destruction, man. So without further ado, let's get it. Let's go.
The one thing that all humans are universally a slave to is lust. The internet tries to make it seem like it's only an issue with men, but that's not true. It's an issue with women too. They just come in different forms. So for men, it's stuff like the hub, it's stuff like, going out and seeing a girl and then, getting aroused by the fact that, maybe a girl is wearing tight clothing in the gym. But for girls, a lot of it comes from literature.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for women. Now, granted, I do think the issue overall is much larger for men, but the reason that it's so important that you understand how to discipline yourself as it relates to lust is because what lust does is it convinces your brain that short-term pleasure is more important than long-term fulfillment.
Yep.
And then you create this cycle that's reinforced by your habits of falling back into lust, where you're getting fulfilled in terms of your biological desire to reproduce, when in reality that's not true. It's a replacement, right? It's a substitute for the actual thing.
Yeah.
And so what happens is this literally like completely restructures the neuroplasticity of your brain. And it's why it's so important that you learn how to conquer it, right? And I've made videos about this issue in the past, but hands down, the best advice that I've ever heard as it relates to lust, especially for men, is you have to flee from it.
Yeah.
If you're religious in the Bible, it says lust is the only sin that you must flee from.
Yep.
Because what happens is, imagine lust as like it's a giant hill, and on the top of the hill stands a boulder. Now, the way that lust works is it's pretty much like if you're scrolling on Instagram and you see a random picture of a girl in a bikini, right? That is still quote unquote pornography.
Yeah.
Because it's arousing the same part of your brain. So what happens is, imagine now that boulder gets pushed a little bit, right? And just it gets pushed a little bit, but you can still stop it. You can still stop it. But the more that it gets pushed and the farther that it rolls, eventually it reaches a point of no return where, the slope is so steep that the boulder is just going to roll and it's going to crush you.
Yeah.
And there's no way to stop it. Some of the most notoriously disciplined men in history have struggled with lust.
Exactly. Yep.
Some of the most religious men in history have struggled with lust.
Yep.
Was it Saint Thomas Aquinas, or who was it? But some like big figure in the church. In his autobiography, he literally talked about how he like was so devoted to God, like completely devoted to God, and yet he continuously was finding himself sneaking around with women.
Yep.
And
you guys know I got to stop right there, man, because you guys know in the Bible, King David, King Solomon, Samson, all types of brothers, man, was filled with the Holy Spirit, had spiritual gifts that we wish we can have at the end of the day, man. And they all wasn't even in control of their lust, man. So you see how like even men of God are even plagued with this, man. Even going before that, man. Remember the Israelites, when King Balak was trying to tell the prophet Balaam to curse the Israelites, man, and the prophet Balaam told him, I can't get them to curse, well, I can't get God to curse them, but I can get them to curse themselves. He said, send your women my way to entice the men, and the women is going to make them turn away from God, man. And the scriptures say how the women was performing sexual acts on the men, and that's what made them turn against God, and all that type of stuff, man. So this method, this sex, fornication, sexual immorality has been used since the biblical days, since the ancient times, that type of stuff, man. And yes, sex is going to be used as a weapon. Sex is a nuclear weapon. being used to to lead brothers and sisters down the path of destruction. Yes, he mentioned sisters also. People don't mention that. Yes, man, sisters is also plagued by the spirit of lust, man. Don't think that they're just innocent and everything, man. They get horny too. They feel the urges too. You know, that type of stuff, man. But yes, lust is going to be used. That is a nuclear weapon that's going to be used to bring people down the path of destruction, man, which is a crazy thing, man. So let's keep going.
I think that's why it's so hard, is because you could be the most disciplined person on earth, but that urge in the psychological wiring of humans' brains is so strong, and it's so like biological to who we are. It's ingrained in us that you can't simply willpower your way out of it forever.
Yeah.
You can willpower your way out of it for a period of time, you know, but eventually you will fall.
Yeah,
and this is why oftentimes you also see, you know, some of the most successful men in the world that have, you know, a ridiculous amount of wealth and a wife, they end up cheating on their wife with someone else, which is terrible for a multitude of reasons. Like, you're destroying the family, you're being disloyal to the one person you're supposed to be faithful to. But purely from a financial standpoint, in and of itself, it's like, why are you making it like you're just like say goodbye to like a minimum of half of your earnings in court? You know what I mean? And so that's why it's very obvious the magnitude to which that this is an issue. And once again, I think the best way to escape it is to flee from it.
Yeah, flee from it, yeah.
And pretty much what that means is, you know, maybe you are still, you know, connected on Instagram or Snapchat with girls that you went to high school with.
Yeah.
And, you know, chances are you don't talk to them at all anymore. The only stuff that you see of them is purely parasocial. It's on, you know, Snapchat or Instagram. But what do these people post? They post highlight reels, and a huge highlight reel that everyone loves to post is their body, right? It's they're trying to show off, let's be honest. And because of that, especially with girls, like they'll post that, and men get attached very visually, whereas women get attached more with like words.
Yeah.
And that's why there's like some famous quote that says, men are attracted to what they see and women are attracted to what they hear.
Exactly.
That's why girls wear makeup and men lie.
Yep.
But really, if you pay attention to the most common genres of literature that these girls read, it is like, it's beyond degenerate. It's terrible. Like, you go to the bookstore and I like literally cringe at like some of like the popular with young women, like that section. It's just a bunch of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like animals or like fairy tale characters that don't exist in real life, and they're like, it's very dark. It's very dark, but it's all.
And let me stop right there, man, because actually that movie 50 Shades of Grey, there was a book that came out before that movie, man, which inspired that movie to come out. And you guys know, I think that movie came out, I think 2016 or 17, man. That was like, that really had women turned up and all that type of stuff, man. And I actually dated a woman back in the day. She was into like the gothic stuff, like she was into vampires and everything. And she used to tell me like she wanted to have sex with a vampire, right? She used to tell me like she really wanted to have sex with a vampire because she used to watch those novels, and they were just talking about a lot of crazy stuff in it, man. So I'm telling you, man, like you were just saying, man, men are attracted to what they see, and women are attracted to what they hear. Like, it's a crazy thing, man. And again, lust can really destroy a lot of people, man. It's crazy, 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 man. So let's keep going.
You know, reestablished in this sort of like, I hate to use this word, but like sexual nature. Like, that's what it's doing. That's what it's meant to like arouse these girls. And so you start to pay attention, and the things that were fed and are targeted at us, especially young people, is like hypersexualized, and it's meant to basically lead you down. It's kind of like the gateway. Like, social media is sort of the gateway to, you know, slipping and starting to fall into this routine. And it's so readily available. Whereas like back in the day, our parents, that generation, like you had to have a literal magazine, and with that came the risk of, you know, maybe your parents could catch that you had that magazine, and so it simply wasn't worth the risk. And then you would have to go out there in life and like actually get that girl or get that guy. Like, you had to do the work to get it, and that's why it destroys your reward system. Guys that are, you know, addicted to, I hate to use the word, but it is a buzzword, gooning. Guys that are addicted to that oftentimes are less full of energy, and they just, if they're super, super addicted, you'll start to see their ability to like get up and do the work that needs to get done is like much
Exactly.
harder
Yeah.
for them. Their focus sucks. Everything sucks. And so what happens is it's one very small aspect of their life, but this aspect is like a seed, and that
Controlling
seed starts
everything.
to
Yeah.
grow and it starts to infect other aspects of their life. You know, for me personally, one thing that I always struggled with was it was like people always like were addicted to, you know, websites, but for me it was more, and it wasn't an addiction, but it was like I would go to the gym a lot, and this started when I was in college, and I would go to the gym a lot, and I wouldn't even like intentionally be like, oh, I want to go to the gym to see this or whatever. But I went to University of Arizona my freshman year of college, and it's like, well, what like the stereotypes are true. Like University of Arizona, like what are you guys thinking? Like it's a bunch of really attractive girls, and they're wearing like damn near nothing, leaving
Yeah.
nothing up to your imagination. And I would go there and I hit a workout. And don't get me wrong, my main focus was always the workout and everything like that. But it's like you're a guy at the end of the day, you're a human, and so naturally, like you know, I would just
You
kind of
want.
like
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
around and I'd just be like, oh, and I would like every single time I'd have to tell myself stop, 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 and I would
Yeah.
just pull myself in. I'd put my headphones on. I'd try to like close my eyes, and it sucked because I kind of felt like I was a creep. When in reality, I can guarantee you every single other guy in the gym was doing that, but that doesn't take like it. Just I just kind of felt disgusting, and I was like, man, I want to. And for me, I had at least the discipline to be like every time I would do it, I would like in my
Yeah.
own
Yeah. Yeah.
head, my inner monologue would be like, stop, this is disgusting. You shouldn't be doing this. This is a sin, whatever. But it's like once again, that innate biology of who you are and those desires, you can't just beat that. And that's why you must flee from it. So that was what I struggled with, bro. And it got to the point where it was so bad where it was like if I would talk to a girl in any facet or like setting, it would be like my level of
Yeah. You
interest in
just don't.
talking to this
Yeah.
girl would like directly be correlated to how attractive she was.
Yeah.
Which even say like this video will be viewed by thousands of people, and that's like really embarrassing. But like that's just the honest truth of where I was at that point of time in my life, and that happened. That was a span of like 3 years that I think that went on,
Yeah.
and a lot of it also had to do with the fact that I was extremely, extremely isolated. The only time I would meet people was going to the gym or class. And then eventually I turned to online school. And at that point, it was the only place I could meet people was the gym. And most of the time I'd go to the gym and mind my own business. So I wouldn't talk to anyone. But it's like,
Yeah.
that's what happens when you start to let these things infect you. And really, the start of it for me was like, I used to watch TV shows. And, you know, I'd watch like these TV shows. And it was like, dude, I just don't like the way on these TV shows that they would like it's so unnecessarily explicit. Like they're
Yeah.
always showing more skin than they need. There's like a random sex scene that is literally not needed for the plot. But
Exactly.
like me, I was like I kind of like wanted it to happen back then because I was like it was such a it's like a drug, like you're trying to get your fix, right? And that's the way that it literally like destroys you, bro. And it was so embarrassing. I remember like I would always shame myself, and I think it's good. I think shaming and personal shaming is a good thing because it changes your behavior. But
Exactly.
I'd always shame myself whenever I'd like do this stuff, and I'd be like, oh, you know. But here, like another thing that it destroys is your expectations. It's like, dude, a girl in a TV show that's like one of the biggest TV shows in the world is obviously going to be like a top 1% good looking girl. Same with the guys. And I know girls do this all the time. Like it seems like that's really popular. Dude, I stopped watching TV shows. I think the only TV show that I really watched, I'm trying to think, was Stranger Things in the past like year and a half or something.
Yep.
That was the only TV show that I watched. And it's like because and same with like movies. I watch movies here and there. I recently watched that Obsession movie. But even that Obsession movie, if you guys have paid attention online, the main girl in that movie, her name's Nikki. I don't know what her name is in real life, but she's stunning, she's gorgeous, and she's really talented. But it's like all these people online were like fantasizing about this girl, and it's just like that's like why I don't like getting involved in that stuff, is because it's so
Yep.
normalized in our society. It's almost encouraged, like, oh yeah, you could talk about like how pretty this, and it's like you don't realize that like you start to look at people
Things differently.
differently
Exactly.
because of this narrative and the way that it sort of takes over your own, like it's pretty much conditioning. You're conditioning yourself, and the society is conditioning you to believe these things, and don't think that you are immune to that. Trust me, a lot of it happens subconsciously. You don't even know what's going on. But it's like, dude, you know, I talked to a lot of women about this concept. It's like a lot of these girls really, really get into TV shows and movies, especially dramas, and they start to believe whatever sort of
Now. Exactly. Yep.
narrative is put onto these
Yeah.
TV shows, and a lot of times they do it through intimacy. That's kind of a way that they show the messaging, and it's so bad, dude. And
Yeah.
it's like hookup culture is terrible. I'm completely against hookup culture. I think it really messes with people, and it hurts people long term, not just psychologically, but also it's like, you might have a marriage down the line and some issues arise because of stuff that someone did in their past, and I think that's freaking terrible.
Yep.
And I think about my grandparents because one of my grandparents on my dad's side, they grew up together in the same hometown, and my grandfather proposed to my grandmother on prom night. This is like some like OG like basic American story, but it's true. He proposed to my grandma on prom night, and then they got married a year later when they were 19 after they graduated, and then they lived a happy marriage for their whole life.
Yep.
I don't know how long that was, but that's quite some time. If they were married at 19 and they died in their 80s, and I remember when I would ask my grandma and grandpa, they were like, "Oh yeah, like the way that it worked with us was, everybody kind of like had like their one person that they would start dating, and like for the majority of their friend group, for like they're all like I'm pretty sure everyone in their friend group, they all married that one person, and none of them got divorced, and they were committed." And it's like now with social media, you can just go online and
Too
you
many
can have
options.
access
Yeah.
to whatever you want at any
Yeah.
time. And so it's like infinitely harder for us, and the discipline needs to be there. Wherein back in the day, they didn't even have the option, so they were so much more
Exactly.
loyal, but they were also so much more fulfilled and happy, bro. Like, have you ever talked to an old person about relationships? They seem to be so happy. You talk to our generation, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it
Miserable.
sucks.
Yeah.
Like dating sucks nowadays." And it's like, yeah, because dude, it's just, I don't know, it's so messed up. I feel like, but at the end of the day, willpower, once again, I want to reiterate this, willpower can only take you so far. You're just going to relapse. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
The only way you can actually beat it is flee from it. But number two, and I talked about this in previous videos as well, get something going for you in your life.
Yeah.
And when I say
Know
going
your
for you, it doesn't
purpose.
mean you need to have public recognition or money or like the business objectively doing well. Having something going for you in your life, to me, is just, is there a path that you're starting to develop for yourself by work? So if you can work and then you start to see a path opening, you can still be a bum, like by society terms, like not have all this money and things going for you, but it's part of your journey. If you have something going for
Yeah.
you,
You have some type of
then
motion.
that
Yeah.
becomes the priority. And your brain is very basic in the terms of, it just does what a priority is in any given situation. Is your priority comfort? Is your priority sleep? Is your priority, I need to make money right now? Is your priority romance? Whatever it is, it's just going to do whatever the top priority is every single time. And so if you have something going for you, you become so focused on that. And once you get results, this is what a Harvard study showed, is that the number one factor for motivation in people is actually seeing tiny progress
Yeah. Conquest.
throughout your work. So the
Exactly.
second you start to see results, you'll get so addicted and highly motivated that you'll forget about everything. Dude, when I started doing social media and started posting and actually was able to see growth, it's like, why in the world would I ever, put some time aside to go goon or whatever they say, when I could just make a video and maybe that video gets me 100,000
Yeah.
views and just completely changes the trajectory of my life. Like maybe someone famous sees that video and then they reach out to me and then I have a whole new opportunity.
Exactly.
Like the ROI is just so much higher and I'm so much more focused on what I'm doing that it's really become a no-brainer for me. And I'm not saying you have to do social media, but you can do whatever you want. And I promise you, it's like if you dial in on that and you start to see wins or you see the possibility of wins, oh my gosh, it's over. It's over. It becomes so easy that way. And you know what's funny is once you start doing that, like once you start having something go for you, girls are going to find you so much more attractive.
Exactly. Yeah. You become. Yeah.
So much more attractive. I think like the honestly, like yeah, looks matter and all that. I'm not saying they don't, and that's probably the first thing that a girl looks at. But the second thing is your overall ambition and like
Yeah,
your
you got motion.
personality.
Yeah.
Like, are you working towards something? Like, do you have like another buzzword? But do you have motion?
Yeah.
Like that's what girls are really into. So if you actually want a girlfriend in real life, it's like get something going for you, bro. And I'm saying that in an encouraging way, not like a patronizing way. But yeah, just like get something going for you. Because what happens is if you have nothing going for you, like lust will take over when you do
Exactly.
get in a relationship, and then you can overlook red flags because you're just so infatuated with that person physically, and all the chemicals in your body are literally designed to make you feel so attached and connected with that person, but it's really for the sake of reproduction. It's not for the sake of there actually being a legitimate connection.
Yep.
You know, I told this story before, but I had a friend who got like really addicted to, you know, going to these websites and everything. And when he finally got a shot with a girl, he wasn't able to perform. I
Yeah,
think
this happens to
you might
yeah.
know what I mean by that if you're following. But he was like super embarrassed. And I remember he told
Yeah.
me that story, and that story alone like scared the crap out of me. I was like, oh, if I was ever in that position with my wife, where it's like, you know, you're waiting, and then you know you absolutely destroy it with the one person it's supposed to be the most special with, like how embarrassing and just terrible would that be? That'd be miserable. And
Yep.
that enough
Yeah, that
should
enough, yeah.
be all the motivation that you need to dial in.
Exactly.
Start delaying gratification further down the line. I promise you, bro. I promise you, you won't regret it. Thank you guys for watching.
All right, so that wraps up the video right there, man. Of course, I'll leave his details in the description box for you guys to like, comment, and subscribe to my brother, Jet Franson, man. Very, 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 very powerful video, man. He gave a lot of knowledge. And again, man, this is not worth it. Not being in control of your lust is going to cost you a lot in your life. And I don't want this to happen to you, brothers, man. I was somebody that wasn't in control of my lust for 20 years. Right? And it led me down a path of destruction, man. And I don't want that for you brothers out there, man. So get in control of your lust, or your lust will get in control over you, man. So again, hopefully this video was edifying for you brothers, man. Hopefully you guys learned a lot and all that good jazz, man. So like, comment, subscribe, share the video out to everybody. First, great the Most High. They're gonna hang the time.